Final hour for the week. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app, up on TSN 2. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Alek Manoah hitting the bump again for the first time in a month at the major league level. So I'm at the Florida Complex League level. So I'm in the Double-A level. I'm not seeing him in the majors in a month.
Do you remember the last start?
I remember it was really, really ugly.
Yes.
Like really ugly. But they all kind of blended together because there really wasn't a lot of positive.
But that was the third of an inning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when he was.
Houston.
He looked really dejected too. Remember in the dugout, he was talking to Walker and Schneider, and he was almost like he was trying to explain himself.
Yeah, he looked lost.
Yeah, he did, and like that's a tough spot. Like it's not easy being a pro athlete when it's really going hard.
We underestimate that.
Yes.
A lot. Like imagine just doing your job. Well. Actually, you can imagine you do your job in public every day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a bad show, I guess everyone sees.
It happens. It happens. It definitely happens. Now, it's not as obvious in terms of a stat line.
Yeah.
You know, like there are bad shows. Believe me, we have some bad shows where I'm sure, the diehard fans of this show are like, man, that one, I don't know about that one. But it doesn't show up in a box score later. Right, you can't look at it and say this guy got one out. He threw all these pitches. He walked all these guys. Gave up 2 home runs. Like I don't know what the equivalent of that would look like in terms of an OverDrive performance. But it's probably happened before.
Like off the air, or
maybe technical difficulties, and if you lose your voice and a bunch of guests start to drop, or
if the three of you guys get into a big argument.
No, I think that actually works pretty well. That's people like that stuff. Those are usually the bangers. Like that's a perfect game. We should ask our own audience that one day. Like, what would you consider a perfect game on this show? What is the equivalent of a perfect game? Fights, someone leaving, lots of laughs, a couple of takes.
Has there ever been a walkout?
Oh, there's been walkouts. Yeah.
Mid-show?
Pretty close. Okay. Yeah. There's been.
But that's good TV.
We've definitely had a mid-show walkout. I think we can lock that one in.
We've had walkouts. There's been a protest or two on this show. Those ones stick out. Those are the ones you remember, right? But I don't know. We started the show asking ourselves, really, like, what do you expect? And it's very difficult to tell. Like, I guess if you're taking yourself out of it, you're probably expecting a rough outing because of what he's done all year.
Yeah.
Right? And because of what he did in that Florida Complex League start. And possibly the nerves and the moment. And, like, all eyes are on you anyway if you're a starting pitcher in baseball. But this one's extreme. This one, you really got to have your nerves in check if you're Alek Manoah tonight. Because you understand, like, this is where confidence comes into play and self-esteem comes into play. And, like, the voice in your head wondering, not so much the media and the fans, but your own teammates. Like, what are they thinking tonight?
Well, what are you thinking? Like, do I still have it? Like,
right. Does he have it? But also, like, Jansen's catching for him. Does Jansen have full faith that he's got it tonight? Yeah. Like, I get the impression that is usually what keeps athletes up at night in team sports. Is not about letting themselves down. It's about letting their teammates down.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to the body language he had in the dugout his last start, was he was trying to convince people, hey, or basically it almost looked like he was apologizing. I don't know exactly what he was saying, but he was going from guy to guy, and it was almost like he was saying, hey, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
And that's probably what it feels like. It's a very lonely position to be in when, if you're a starting pitcher and you get lit up, your team is in such a massive hole. Pitcher, goalie, quarterback.
What do you think they have planned? Like, in terms of expectations, do you think they're thinking, can he give us 4?
Well, I think you have to plan for the worst. If he gives you the best, that's great. That's easy to feed off of, right? If this guy's rolling, you just what I'm curious about is if this guy gives you, let's say, 4 really strong innings.
Take it and leave.
And then just get him out. Like, are they committed to 2 times through the order and that's it?
Yeah.
Like, even if you've gone 2 times through the order, maybe haven't given up any runs, given up a few hits, walked a guy, still have a lot left in the tank, thrown 65 pitches. Do they say, you know what, let's save him and get him out?
We just want him feeling good, right? Going
yeah.
to the break? Yeah, I like that.
Like that, I could picture that being the case. But you're into July here, and at some point you got to take the gloves off for this guy. Yeah. Like tonight's an isolated situation because he's just coming back.
Yeah, and so much pressure.
And there's a lot of pressure on him. And you, if you're the Blue Jays, you really want this guy to feel good about himself coming out of the game. Like you really,
That's
really
like
want him feeling good.
Goal, really.
Yes, which means maybe you do just get him out quick. Like he's not going to be the equivalent of an opener tonight. It's not like he's only going to pitch an inning or two. But I could see that 2 times through the order, and it's pretty good. Get him out. I could definitely see that. Here is former MLB pitcher himself, host of Intentional Talk on MLB Network, one of our favorites, good Canadian boy, Ryan Dempster. How you doing, Ryan?
Great, doing great. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. And it's a big one in Blue Jay land. As you know, Alek Manoah making his return almost a month to the day he last made a start, and it was an ugly one the last time we saw him. Everyone's giving their own take on what they can expect tonight. We'll pose the same question to you. What are you bracing for tonight, Manoah, back in the bigs against the Tigers tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm a hungry kid who wants to go out there and do well. It sucks when you're in this spot right now. You're in a 1-7 record with it's hard not to know the numbers. It's hard not to see them. They're thrown on every clubhouse table with a pamphlet of here they are. It's posted on the TV. People are talking about it, but I think for him, just going out there and being aggressive. And attack, put the hitter on the defensive mode, and then you can expand instead of the other way around. So, good quality pitches, but yeah, I'm hoping that he has a good outing because I really like the kid, and I hope that he finds a way to get it going. And for the Blue Jays' sake, that's what they need, right? They need to be able to have that and a little bit of direction there going in the positive way so that they know what they're getting out of him.
Right. Would you expect them to protect him tonight? In other words, he goes through 2 times through the order. He looks pretty good, has more left in the tank, but could you see them pulling him and saying, we just want you feeling good tonight as opposed to the scoreboard and the stat line?
Yeah, I think you do protect him a little bit in the sense of, like, listen, if he's, if fortunate enough to go out there and throw 5 shutout innings or something and he's going great and he's got 65 pitches, cool, you're done. Like, you just want to reinforce this game is so mental. Like, the old saying, I don't know, Yogi Berra, what do you say, 90% of the game is 80% mental or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's tough, and your confidence is your number one thing. When you feel great, there's a different energy behind the baseball. When you feel timid, the baseball knows it, and it hunts it out, and the hitters know it, and vice versa. So the more positive things that you can happen, you start to gain that confidence again, and you start to believe that things are going to go right, because what happens is all of a sudden the base hit, another base hit, you're first and third with 1 out. This thing starts to creep over your shoulder and you start to feel like things are going wrong. But when your confidence is good and you're going right, you feel like you can get the next guy to hit into a double play, or you feel like you can get that strikeout in the big situation. So, yeah, just positive steps, good positive things, and get them on the right track so that you can feel comfortable letting them go eat again for 7-8 innings.
Well, Ryan, you kind of hit on it a bit there, but can you take us inside what it feels like to be on the mound and be not confident, not feeling great? Like, what is that sensation? Like, how do you kind of get yourself out of it?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's just very, very hard. It's hard to kind of understand. Like, it's what we do for a living. It's what we've been doing since we were little kids, and we know what to do. But then when all of a sudden you constantly are getting your tail kicked, and you're trying to throw a fastball in one place and it's leaking back over the middle of the plate. You're trying to throw a slider, you throw one good one, throw another one, and it spins and it's over the fence for a homer, and it's hard to get out of because it's all around you, right? Like, we hear the fans boo us, so we feel that. We answer the media questions afterwards, we feel that. So we're looking for positive things, good things to happen. I've been there before. I've been in his shoes. As a rookie, I was there. As a veteran player, I've been there. I've been in some. I said it before on this show. I picked up the paper at the end of April, 1 month in the season, and I was last in ERA, 9.38. Like, I've been there, and the reality is, the one thing that can get us out of it is the one thing that they preach to us. Every mental skills coach, every sports psychologist, your pitching coach. It's just one pitch at a time. I can't control anything else. I can't control where they hit it. Can't control whether my fielder fields it. All I can control is executing a pitch. And once that's done, I get back on the mound, I select, I look for a location, and I try to execute again. And that's all you look for.
With Ryan Dempster, how loud are the voices in your head when you're in that spot, Ryan? And what are they saying to you? Like, are you wondering what your catcher's thinking, your teammates are thinking, your manager's thinking? Like, how deep does it go in terms of where your kind of dark thoughts go when you're in a bad place?
Yeah, I think it just varies. I think what happens is we can will a lot of things into existence through belief. And I've been around it, whether that's with teams. When you think my AAA roommate, the best compliment he ever gave me, says, "Wow, you really think you're way better than you are." and I loved it. He's a great friend to this day. We're golf buddies and we're good buddies. But it was just like honestly, I took it as a great compliment because, like I said, it's a game built on failure, both as pitchers and as hitters. Nobody finishes the game with a 0-8. Nobody bats 1,000. Like, you're going to fail, and you're going to go through those tough times. And there was somebody doing an interview the other day that said, I think, people in the big leagues are there because they're the best at failure. They can overcome that. And so in those moments when they're creeping in, you just have to find a mechanism, whether that's the way you breathe, whether that's some positive reinforcement, things you say to yourself on the mound. So you get in that groove, and then you don't have to think about it anymore. But just stay positive. The mechanical stuff, whatever, you can't think about that when you're out there pitching. You just pitch to get people out. Compete. Mm-hmm. Take yourself back to being a kid at 8 years old on the field and just competing against the kid in the batter's box. If you think about being in high school and competing, that's all you're doing. At the end of the day, 60 feet, 6 inches away, there's somebody competing against you. And how do you get them out? And it's not always going to go your way. And when it doesn't go your way, don't call into that rabbit hole of here we go again. Don't ever let those words go in your head. Just keep going.
Well, what happens, Ryan, when a pitch you've come to rely on, like we've talked a lot about Alek Manoah's slider, just isn't doing what it used to? Like, how do you kind of get it back? Do you feel confident in the pitch? Like, how do you go from that spot?
Command your fastball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The number one thing. Because if you command your fastball, then the hitter has to respect your fastball. He knows that you have the ability to throw it in a fastball count and locate it and still get a hitter out. That's the most important thing you can do. When everybody in the ballpark knows you're throwing a fastball and you throw it and you locate it, you will get most hitters out, even the best ones in the world. So then what that does is now you get guys in swing mode. They get sped up a little because they're chasing 93, 94, 95 miles an hour. Instead of he can't throw his fastball for a strike or doesn't know where it's going, I'm just going to be just all over that hanging breaking ball that he throws in here. Now he gets behind the count, can't throw the fastball, so he throws the slider. It's a decent one, but the guys know he's not throwing a fastball, and they whack the slider. It has a trickle-down effect, and the more you throw a pitch, the less effective it is. Like, I've always said that the best thing I ever learned from Greg Maddux was he said, try to get through the first time through the lineup with just your fastball. And if you can do that, you have many more weapons you can use, and it's really important. And we get away from it because we get all these data of swing pass tell us on a 2-1 we're supposed to throw a slider right here, but why? Why right there? Why with nobody on and 2 outs in the third inning? Why? Why not throw a well-located fastball? Now you got that guy with runners on first and second, or the bases are loaded, and he hasn't seen that slider, and you can go to that. And it's just really important. Commanding your fastball is success and really the backbone of pitching.
With Ryan Dempster, yeah, a lot of things have changed. Like you mentioned, situational game plans and nutrition and what you're supposed to eat and what you're supposed to drink. And we were talking about this earlier today, that Whit Merrifield, who hit 2 big home runs yesterday, he's an all-star. He's having a great year. He was sitting there doing his scrum, Ryan, drinking a beer. And I loved it because he's an old-school guy. And, like, that feels like that should be the case. Doubleheader, you win both. You sweep the Sox. You're up to Detroit. It's a short flight. Have a pint. Why not? Have a beer afterwards.
100%. What's so wrong with that? And it's just and there's other things that are amazing byproducts to that. What you're talking about. What that does is it allows guys to sit down and talk and have conversations. And man, I really love that pitch you made today. That was really great. Or like, man, that was a good player. Man, that AB you had, or little things that we notice in each other as teammates that we can give each other positive reinforcement and just be like, we want to feel good. Not everybody, if you think that every player, even the best ones, walk around every day thinking they're the greatest, you got another thing coming. The best in the world even go through their own mental struggles. They deal with things. So, that's what having a beer does. It's not about sitting there and getting hammered in the locker room. It's about having a conversation with some teammates. And then what happens is you bond together, and now you're pulling for each other. Now you got 2 guys at the table having a beer. Then there's 4, and then there's 6, and then there's a show dinner of 12. And then there's this invincibility that you can't beat us because we're together, we're a unit. But when you don't do those things, sometimes you drift apart, and it's important to maintain that. I love hearing that story that Whit did that.
Yeah, I love Whit Merrifield, man. He's been great for the Jays this year, really since they acquired him with Ryan Dempster. And we were discussing, speaking of acquiring a guy, Shohei Ohtani, who we don't believe will be available. We don't believe the Angels are going to make him available. But if he were to become available, right, if their GM sent out an email blast throughout the league saying, we're flipping him, call us, let's see where this goes. How complex do you think that trade is going to be? And are you paying like full price for the pitcher and for the hitter? Like how strange and how complex and how crazy could a Shohei Ohtani trade look like?
Right? Like, what do you have to do? Do you have to give up one of your minor league teams?
Yeah, I would think so, right? That's a reasonable ask.
Yeah, and I think, but the world's changed a little bit. The landscape of trades have changed because teams aren't willing to part with their young players. But if you have an opportunity to trade for Shohei Ohtani, who could possibly send you the win a World Series, that's hard to turn down. And then on top of it, what it does for your fan base, what it does for your city, what it does for your opportunities to maybe sign him. Maybe he comes to a place like Toronto and goes, "Wow, man!" I'm not saying the Angels are trading Shohei Ohtani. I'm just all theoretically speaking.
Right.
That gives you an opportunity to showcase how great your city is, and what it's like to play there, and how great the fans would be. An opportunity that you might not ever get. So yeah, trades have many different facets and layers, and then you talk about the dynamic of everything that you're doing, because the Angels, if you're going to get them, you're going to have to give up. Right? Like, you're going to have to give up a lot because you're going to lose and get a draft pick anyways. So it's like, getting a guy like that could really just change the complexity of and the dynamic of your organization for the better for a long time. So yeah, pretty cool conversation. It sucks for the Angels. I wish that they were in it so they didn't, but it's going to open up a lot of, conversations like this as we get closer to the trading deadline.
Well, is there any case you can make, Ryan, for not trading him? Besides, let's say they fall out of the race, as we think they probably will. Is there any case for just keeping him?
Well, yeah. It's there's iconic. If you're wanting to re-sign him, why would you trade him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And people say, you hear this one all the time, and it gets said a lot. Well, maybe a guy will get traded, and then he'll come back as a free agent. Good luck. How many times? Look that up. How many times that's actually happened? That doesn't happen. It just taints the relationship. It's like, yeah, we just decided to split up for a little bit, but it was totally cool, and then we're back together. That just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I hope they flip him just because it'd be crazy. It'd be so much fun.
It would really be, an unbelievable. We probably won't, if he becomes available because they slipped out of it. I don't think we will ever see the likes of the trading deadline kind of story quite like that. So,
no, I agree.
There's a lot of different people in it. There's a lot of teams with a lot of young talent that are right there.
He'd be a game one starter, and he's going to hit third in your lineup. That's pretty good acquisition. Pretty good trade.
I think there's two birds with one stone right there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He is Ryan Dempster, former MLB pitcher, host of Intentional Talk. Always great having you on, Ryan. We appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely, guys. Great being with you. Enjoy your weekend.
You too, Ryan Dempster. Good Canadian boy. I said earlier, if you were to acquire Shohei, it would be like acquiring David Price and Troy Tulowitzki plus.
Well, so
it's the same guy, only he's got a better bat than Tulo had in 15.
I brought up that Scherzer trade. The Scherzer trade, I forgot it was one trade with Trey Turner. The Dodgers got Trey Turner and Max Scherzer.
That's right.
Which is
that
kind
was
of
2 years ago.
Yeah, which is kind of similar-ish. Obviously, Ohtani's a better hitter, I think, than Turner. And that was for their first and second best prospect.
Right. Yeah.
I can't remember if Turner had term on his deal.
I think he might have had another year. Yes.
So maybe that makes it a little different. But you're in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
First, second best prospect.
You're talking the likely the best pitcher and best hitter available by a substantial margin at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Unless the Mets, but even if the Mets decided to flip Scherzer and or Verlander, it's still Shohei, probably. If those guys hit their limit, if Verlander does what he does last year, he's obviously a better pitcher than Shohei Ohtani. And Scherzer, if he still got it and is still rocking, he'd be I think, probably a better option, but not by much anymore. And Ohtani just hit 15 home runs in June. 15. Like, look at the lineup today. Brandon Belt's hitting third. There's your left-handed bat, DH. That's Ohtani.
But do they have enough?
Ohtani steps right in.
Do they have enough? I don't think they have.
I'm not sure if they do. And like, are you looking for quality? Or are you looking for quantity?
I'm just looking top 100. They have one prospect in there.
Who is it? Tiedemann?
Yeah.
What is he ranked?
33rd. So like the Dodgers, let's just say. Dodgers have a lot.
They always
They
do.
have like 10.
How does that make sense? They
nine,
win the World Series, or they go to the World Series every single year, and yet they're stacked with.
They're master developers, and they have a massive organization.
Yeah, I guess you can find guys in like the scouting, and the draft is coming up this weekend, right? I mean, the Jays are in a position where you got to keep restocking and reloading.
Yeah,
pick a guy and flip him immediately for Shohei. There's your move. All right, Mail It In Fridays, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Weekends are better with fish bowls and frosty pints on the BP patio. Grab your sunscreen and let's have a weekend. See you on the BP patio. Caught up with Max Domi earlier this afternoon. We'll recap that conversation. He's excited to be a Leaf. He's very excited to be a Leaf, as he should be. I mean, this is a dream come true for him.
Well, and today he went and met the staff.
He was down there at the rink. And
so today is an exciting
This is a big day. Walking in there, and now, like, you're getting all the gear.
Yeah.
They're giving you the golf shirt, the hoodie, the hat. Like, you're officially a Maple Leaf. Now you have access to everything, right? You want to go down there, Max Domi, can go down there whenever he wants. He possibly could do that anyway.
I guess it would have been his first chance to be in the dressing room since he was a kid, I would think.
The gold medal game, though, remember in 2015, he was on that Canada team.
Oh, yeah.
And they beat Russia in the gold medal game.
Okay.
So I'm assuming they were the home team. They must have been. They must have been using the Leafs dressing room.
Maybe.
They had to have been. But, it's the first time since then, at a minimum, and certainly as a pro, where he's walking in there and he's got a stall and it says Domi.
I wonder if they'll give him the same stall as his dad.
I don't know.
Pretty good.
That'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty cool for sure. So we'll recap our chat with Max Domi. That's still to come. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, so Live Golf is over in London. I know that's very exciting for you, Jonas. You're not a big PGA guy, but you're a big Live Golf guy, right?
Very much so.
Like, Live Golf is like the hipster play of the golf world.
You think I'm a hipster?
No, I'm not saying you're a hipster, but
is it the hipster? I don't think.
I'm not sure
it's the
it
opposite. No,
yeah, I guess it maybe it's is it yuppie? Yeah, the yuppie version of the golf world.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Little Wall Street vibe. Saudis pumping a lot of money into it. Anyway, I guess a flash mob broke out on the first tee today, and people are very excited about that. There it is up on TSN 2. That's how you prove you're really, really with the times in terms of what's happening out there, right? All the kids are still doing flash mob dances. Very, very cool stuff.
What would someone have to do to convince you to be in a flash mob? I feel like
I don't think it's possible.
Ever happen.
Yeah, I cannot picture a scenario where that's possible, unless there's a lot of money on the line.
Like, do you think there's ever a day in the OverDrive future where the three of you could break out into a flash mob on the show?
I can't picture it happening.
I think it would break the internet.
I think you're right. And from that standpoint, maybe we'll look into that. Anything's possible, Jonas. The U.S. women's, the U.S. Open, the women's U.S. Open is continuing down at Pebble Beach. And I feel for this one woman, I believe it was an amateur too. She got disqualified after 5 holes yesterday because her caddy was using a rangefinder. And that's not allowed. So apparently it was like the caddy used it multiple times too. And I'm sure the official was like, oh, this is really not good. There's a rangefinder. Like, you're not allowed to do that. And then they did it again. And then eventually, I guess, someone, like a rules official, just went over and said, you've got to leave now.
Is there no warning?
You're disqualified. No, because I like, it's pretty clear cut. It's weird with rangefinders and technology. It's changing on the PGA Tour and the LPGA Tour. Like, standard events, you can use them now. Caddies can use them. But you can't use them in certain sanctioned events, including the U.S. Open. It's not allowed. So it's old school. You got to go by the book. You got to figure out your own yardage. And I guess this caddy was oblivious to those rules. And that's got to be pretty shocking to the system.
Fireable
That's
offense,
probably
right?
a fireable offense.
Yes.
I think if your caddy gets you disqualified from the U.S. Open,
You're gone.
you're probably out, right? Unless it's a family member.
But shouldn't she have known the rules as well?
Well, that's valid too, right? You could argue that the players should have known, hey, put that thing away. What are you doing? And if you get away with it the first time, then the player notices.
Yeah.
Do they, the rules of golf, it's all about character and you got to police yourselves. Would you call yourself on it and just say, hey, no one saw us? Like, just pretend that didn't happen?
How much is an advantage is really anyway?
Caddy's been doing it forever, and they're supposed to have the book anyway. And I think you can use the rangefinder for practice rounds to kind of know. But if you're in a squirrely spot that you weren't expecting and you haven't prepared for, like these players are so good, the difference of like 5-7 yards is significant. In terms of what they're like, the target they're looking at, that target is exactly 178. That is significant. For the average golfer, it's not. But for a professional, it can be. So, yeah, if someone got disqualified, U.S. Open, rangefinder. Not good. Not good, Jonas. All right, we caught up with Max Domi earlier, and Max is back in town. He's over in Europe. I think he signed his deal when he was in Europe, but he's back home, and he's excited to be a Leaf. And listen, Max Domi's been on the radar of, I think, Toronto sports fans, Canadian hockey fans for a long time. When he was down in London, he was a high pick in the draft, and he was a big part of that Canadian team when McDavid was on it, Reinhart was on it, Duclair was on it. Remember that gold medal at the ACC?
Vaguely, yeah.
That was a great game. Great game, and Max was a big, big part of that. And he's wanted to be a Leaf for a long time, and now he is a Leaf. So we caught up with Max earlier today. We began by asking him that. How cool is it to hear Max Domi, a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
It's pretty surreal, man. I still haven't fully processed it, to be honest, but it's a dream come true and an opportunity I certainly couldn't pass up.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool to see you, obviously, playing for the Leafs, and everyone's seen pictures and videos, and I've come across a lot of your dad's former teammates that remember you kind of buzzing around the room. What do you think it's going to be like to walk into that room, as a Maple Leaf for the first time?
Yeah, I actually went down there earlier today to kind of meet the staff and check out the facilities and whatnot. And like I said earlier, man, just surreal. It's the staff they have is second to none, and they don't mess around. It's pretty cool. And it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, so it's tough to beat that. Toronto kid coming home to play for the blue and white is something that I've grown up thinking about for a long, long time, and sometimes you think it won't happen, and all of a sudden it does. So I'm just super excited to get going.
Max, I was wondering how far you remember back. Like, do you remember your first autograph, and if so, like who it was from?
First autograph, no, not really. If I'm being honest with you, it's kind of weird to say, but autographs were never really like a big thing that got me too excited. Just because I was around all these guys, so I thought I was naive enough to think that they're all my buddies, which is even funnier. So like spending time with all these legends and whatnot around the game, that's something I look back at, and definitely a privilege that I was obviously given because my old man played. But met a lot of really cool people and a lot of really fun memories of going out and shooting at Belfort, shooting on Curtis Joseph, Trevor Kidd, like NHL goalies. In the middle of the Air Canada Center at the time was the name of it. So thinking about like memories like that is stuff that you can't make up, and really grateful for the chance to experience all that. And it was all such a big part of allowing me to live my dream of playing in the NHL. And now that I'm back playing in the same jersey that my dad and Matt Sundin played in is something that just it's pretty special, and it comes full circle, I guess.
Well, you've been in the league a long time. You played 581 games, so it's not like you're a rookie. You're well aware of what it's like to be an NHLer. But obviously, you don't know yet, what it's like to play for the Leafs. But you've been around the team for so long. Your dad obviously was a Leaf for so long. Do you feel like you've got a step up on anyone else that might be coming? Let's say Tyler Bertuzzi or John Klingberg or Ryan Reeves, because you're so familiar with what the team is and kind of what the lifestyle might be like.
I don't know about a step up. I think all those guys are going to do just fine. But no, it's something I grew up around, right? Like this was my childhood, and I've never played for the Leafs, but I kind of felt like I did, I guess. Is when games are going on, I was playing my own version of an NHL game in the Wives room with the Leafs jersey on. So that's kind of as close as you can get, I guess. But no, man, it's great. It keeps you accountable. It's probably the most passionate city for their team, and I mean in the world. And the other team that is right there with Toronto is Montreal, and I was fortunate enough to play there for 2 years. Absolutely loved my time in Montreal. It was super special. Fan base was incredible, and a lot of great players that I was able to play with and learn from, and kind of see how they handled the pressures of playing in a big market like that. But I mean, man, nothing's like home, right? So, it doesn't matter where it is. When you come home, it's just a different level, and everything about it is exciting to me. I think it's an opportunity to come play for a great hockey team that's been really good for a long, long time, and they're right there, and to help push them over the edge a little bit is something that excites me, and I'm really excited about the opportunity. It's just a great time, and my whole family and I are ecstatic about it, and really looking forward to it.
Well, you mentioned your whole family. Like, obviously, everyone, is going to think about Ty and how did Ty react, and I'm sure you're going to have to answer that question like countless times between now and opening night. But what about the rest of your family? They must love this idea, too, that you're coming home.
Yeah, I mean, they always say the same joke. It's like, we can stop pretending we're fans of all these other teams. You're finally back home. So it's great for everyone, man. Like cousins and uncles. My sisters obviously are Toronto kids too. So, and then my mom too. They're all excited to have me home, and I'm excited to be home. And just being around them and spending more time with them is something that I value as well. Obviously, family is the most important to me. So getting a chance to actually be around them a lot more than going away for 8-10 months a year is something that's more important than hockey and to some level. So, but no, just to come here and wear that jersey and have a chance to help this team win a Stanley Cup is something I will be thinking about every single night from here until opening night for sure, and so on. But it's been something in the back of my mind for a long, long time, and haven't had the opportunity to do it up until this year. And when that opportunity kind of came to, it was a no-brainer for me to come here. And like I said, I keep repeating myself.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited to be here.
Well, I don't know if you've had a chance to speak with Sheldon Keefe yet, but any indications as to where you see yourself fitting in and what kind of role you're going to play here?
We'll keep that between me and Kiefer. Obviously, he's the coach, so whatever he asks me to do, I'll be fully prepared to do that. Whether that's playing wing, center. I mean, I'm not necessarily great between the pipes. I think we're good there. But if you needed a goalie, I'd be down to do that too. So whatever he asks me to do, I'm going to do the best of my ability to be the best version of myself in that role. And I've played it all. Played for a lot of teams, which in some ways is hard. Obviously moving around quite a bit, largely due to short-term contracts and this and that. But the positive of that is getting to play for lots of different coaches and meeting a lot of cool people, teammates, training staffs, fan bases, etc. So I'd like to think I got a lot of experience in this league, and I'm looking forward to just bringing that into this locker room and helping out any way I can. It's a special group, and I do have lots of friends on the team, just from over the years and being from the city and summertime and all that. So I'm looking forward to playing with them all.
Well, Max, I understand you do know Austin Matthews. Like, how far do you guys go back?
Yeah, Austin actually was still skating around in Arizona. Like, he wasn't even drafted yet when I was playing for the Yotes. So the first time I actually met him was we were doing the fitting way back when. With, I want to say it was Power Warrior or something. We were just trying some sticks out. Like, he was just a young kid, and he would come skate out with the boys like before. And he was the best player when he was like 15 or 16 years old, however old he would have been. He was also one of the biggest guys out there still too. So no, we've obviously crossed paths over the years. We have the same agent now, and he's an unbelievable kid. Obviously, his talent in hockey speaks for itself. And I'm just looking forward to spending some more time with him. Guys like Mitch, John Tavares, Morgan Riley is a guy that I go way back with as well, and played with McCabe and Lafferty as well in Chicago. So a lot of familiar faces, and just really excited to see them all and be on the right side of things.
Yeah, and you and Mitch spent a couple of years in London, and you know that's basically the cream of the crop. You know, when it comes to any CHL team in terms of how they pump out talent, and the Hunters running the show down there. And what was that experience like? You know, down in London, and looking back on it, you're going back a few years, but obviously it prepared you pretty well for a pretty good NHL career.
Yeah, man, there's no better place in the world to play junior hockey or prior to pro than London. I mean, Markendale, they run, I don't even know what you want to call it, but they just spit out NHL talent, seems like every year. And it's so funny. I mean, all London guys are known, like we're notorious for living in the past and talking about the glory days for the Knights, and it pisses a lot of guys off, but it's a joke for sure at the NHL. So I was very fortunate to play for the Hunters, and they teach you how to be a pro when you're 16 years old. And I mean, it's tough really to explain how they do it because you just got to experience it. But the accountability aspect, the discipline, the work ethic, and the ability to overcome adversity, and it's all about winning. They just preach that from day one. The time you get there, it's about the team. It's not about individuals, and I think that's something in our game that is more important than anything. And I think that's a big reason why a lot of parents are so comfortable sending their kid there, for one, and two, why kids have so much success when they do go there is because the development pattern is just skyrockets so fast because there's so much competition there and so much talent that just goes through there.
Did you get like an avalanche of texts from some of the guys you know with the team when you signed? Like, what was that initial flurry like?
Yeah, I mean, I've played for, it seems like half the league now, but I have a lot of friends in hockey, and like I said, when you get traded around, it's not a great feeling. I mean, it's nice to be wanted here and there, but it's also the coolest thing is just going to meet a lot of the guys around the league, guys you grow up idolizing. I mean, for me to go play in Chicago for the Blackhawks was outside of the Leafs, that was my favorite team, you know, and play alongside Patrick Kane, who I had his jersey in my bedroom growing up, and becoming really close with him is something that I couldn't have predicted, but it's something I'll remember for the rest of my life, and very grateful for our friendship now. And then going to play, with Shane Doan in Arizona, who's now part of the team here in Toronto, Carey Price in Montreal, Shea Weber in Montreal. Like, these guys are Hall of Famers, and just in Dallas there, we're playing with Joe Pavelski. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin, and then like some of the young guys like Miro Heiskanen and Rupe Hintz. Like, you don't really get that experience unless you get to play for all these teams and just see how these guys are day to day and becoming teammates with them and understanding what it takes to be that good, that consistently, and just watching them. And it's great. It's a great experience and something that I'll cherish forever. Would I like to just play for one team my whole career? Yeah, I mean, that sounds obviously appetizing. There's a lot of comfort there, but looking back, I wouldn't change a thing. And I've enjoyed my time on all my different teams, played for some of the best franchises in the league, and had some success, more so than on some than others, but met a lot of great people. That's one thing that's consistent with all of them is it's very difficult to find a guy in hockey, not just players, but people that work for the team that aren't good human beings. So it's been a fun run, and hopefully I can make home my permanent home at some point here. But yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. But first things first, let's try and win, and that's what I'm focused on right now.
I'm just wondering, why were you a Chicago fan? Because immediately when you said that, I thought of Bob Probert, and then I thought of your dad, and I was thinking, like, what would it have been like watching him fight Bob Probert? Like, why were you a Chicago fan?
Absolutely, like, nothing to do with Proby. And this is way after my dad retired that I was a little older at this point. I was like 10, 11, 12 kind of age range that Kaner would have came in the league, I guess. I mean, I'm a 95, he's an 88, so just around that era or that time frame. And Pat was a guy that I'd go home and I'd watch YouTube. Him and Pavel Datsyuk were my go-to guys, and I'd go in my garage or on the street and try and mimic whatever they were doing. And I'll never forget when he got the Stanley Cup winning goal against Philly. I was actually with a bunch of my buddies and we were watching the game. And I was pumped because I was obviously a Hawks fan. So I was a Hawks fan because of Patrick Kane and also because of Jonathan Toews. And then the chance to play with those two guys was just like, what? Like, it didn't even feel real. It was kind of a pinch me moment when I first got there, if I'm being honest with you. So to experience that was second to none, man. It really was.
So Jeff O'Neill's generally on the show. He mails it in the summers. He's
I
not
heard
on.
he's on vacation.
Yeah, he's on
that
vacation.
true?
Of course he is. But he loves
Of
wearing
course.
the alumni jacket. He wears that Leaf alumni jacket. It's his favorite piece of clothing. He wears it all the time on the show. He's up in the alumni box all the time. And I'm curious, what you see your dad doing here once you got 41 games down at Scotiabank. Is he an alumni box guy? Is he going to be in the seats? What do you think his game day ritual will be like when you're playing for the Leafs?
First of all, you got to give O-Dog a big hug for me next time you see him. I'm sure I'll see him soon. But
yeah.
He's awesome. He's a great dude, and he was always so good to me when I was a kid, and obviously been around him quite a bit since then. But he's a beauty. So I'm excited to see him, and he deserves to wear that
yeah.
Obviously,
He loves it.
He had some good years here, and he's a man. But no, I don't know where my dad's going to sit. I'm sure he's well traveled over the years with coming to games, and I think he's been to every rink now. So he's excited. I don't know where he'll be sitting, but he'll be watching a lot of the games for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's going to be cool to see out there, and congrats on the deal. Have yourself a great summer as always, and we'll catch you in September. Thank you for doing this, Max.
All right, boys. Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
There he is, Max Domi, one of the newest Maple Leafs. Big personality. He's listen, he loves the bright lights, and this is as bright as it's going to get. Like, you're a media guy, you're down there all the time. I think a lot of people are going to want to go to Max, and
yeah, but he's dealt with that, right? He played in Montreal,
absolutely.
Played in Chicago, obviously not when they were good.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas last year, long run,
right?
And they need that. Like, they need.
Yeah. You got to have personality. We heard what Ryan Dempster said.
No, I don't
earlier.
mean personality. I don't care about that.
Oh, you don't care about personality?
I don't care about personality.
You don't care about camaraderie and all that?
Nah.
Doesn't matter to you?
Well, it matters.
Why wouldn't you want personality considering you cover the team?
Because
isn't personality better for your job?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. I cover whoever is on the team.
I know, but
they need people, like you talk about, being comfortable in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
They need that in the playoffs. Especially, obviously. Like,
yes.
Multiple someones who, when it gets tense, just going to be all right.
Yeah, and he had a great playoff in Dallas, like really, really good playoff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's put up a lot of points, like, throughout his career. He doesn't have a ton of playoff experience.
Yeah.
But, well, we heard Dempster say earlier about the one beer with one guy, then it becomes four guys.
Personality.
That's what Ryan Reeves is talking about. I think there's something to that. In the room, if it's a bunch of 3-packs going their separate ways, you got to have camaraderie. It's a team.
It's just like I've heard that so many times, and it mostly doesn't seem to matter.
Doesn't matter?
All you heard about the team last year was how well everyone got along and liked each other, and great. Like, you have to be able to score, right?
Right.
Great that everyone.
Is that all you heard? Was that everyone was great and there was no funny business ever? Anything?
I'm sure.
Okay.
There's more that goes on that
I'm sure.
See.
All right. Well, we'll see. Melon Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza. Weekends are better with fish bowls and frosty pints on the BP patio. Grab your sunscreen and let's have a weekend. See you on the BP patio. Come back and recap a busy afternoon. Alek Manoah hitting the mound in Detroit. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Jonas. Alek Manoah versus the Tigers. Got that tonight, and it's a very winnable series for the Jays too, right? Like, beyond the Manoah story is you're 48-40. The All-Star break is a few days away. You want to go in on a positive note.
Yeah. 2 beatable teams.
Absolutely.
Just swept the White Sox.
Yeah.
Looks like he's off to an okay start.
Decent start. Yeah. 2 up, 2 down. Just struck out the second batter he faced, so it's a good sign. Striking guys out, right? Got to get guys. That was a big part of the problem. Is guys would work the count on him, work the count, walk. So far, so good for Alek Manoah. How many pitches he ends up throwing, we'll see. But clean sheet so far.
I got something to tell you.
Oh yeah.
Have you been noticing our boy Masters over in?
Yeah, he's
Wimbledon?
in London, right? He's in Wimbledon. Yeah.
He has been embarking on trivia with Chapo.
You're kidding me.
No. And it's not going well. And it's reinforcing the tough decision I had to make to
cut him. Yeah, you cut him a while
goodbye.
ago. That's like 2 years in the making now. He's been gone.
Yeah.
So what's he doing with Shapovalov then?
So Chapo and him are trading trivia questions, and Mark is just
getting dummied.
Man,
he's really awful at trivia.
Yeah, I feel he wants to be good.
He's got the heart of a lion. Like and he's an intelligent guy. But trivia, it's just the moment.
Yeah,
trips him up,
and
man.
they're doing it on camera, so it's really
that's
the pressure.
Really disheartening. That's really disappointing.
Yeah. So maybe there's a world where Mark and Chapo could be a team that takes on
possibly, but
you and
Shapovalov's got a lot already on his plate. You think he wants to carry Masters? Like that doesn't seem like something he really wants to do.
No.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway.
All right. Well, listen, Masters is a talented dude. He knows what he's doing.
It's not at that.
It's not when it comes to trivia.
Yeah.
Everything else, he's on top of it. Trivia, not so much. A couple of Canadians still going to Wimbledon.
Yeah, including Chapo.
Chapo's through. Bianca's through. Raonic is out, but it was really cool to see him return.
Yeah.
Right? Really, really cool to see him return. And I think he admitted, like, that's probably it. Like, he just wanted to fight to get back and return, and then we'll see what happens with him. But he obviously had a great, great career. All right, Jonas, great seeing you, man.
Thanks, Hayes.
Thanks for doing this, pal, as always. There he is, Jonas Siegel of The Athletic. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes all week. We appreciate it. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at 4 p.m. We'll chat then.